What's up, guys? Hi there. Today, we're going to be talking about how to obtain strategic advantages in your games. Now, strategic advantages are one of three ways that you can gain an advantage over your opponent. The other two being mechanical advantages, and then also psychological advantages. In this video, we're just going to be talking about strategic advantages. That is how you can gain an advantage through your strategy rather than through mechanics or through mind games. But these things do intertwine, and often your strategy will create psychological advantages for you, or you will have to use some psychology to implement your strategy properly. But let's get straight into it. So, what actually are strategic advantages? Well, they're basically any kind of advantage that you can get through good positioning, good timing, and creating good movement. This will allow you to outmaneuver your opponent, outthink your opponent, and generally just be better prepared for whatever it is that they do. There's a million different ways that you can gain strategic advantages. But I'm gonna try to go over as many as I can so that you can use them in your own main, as well as any other game that you play. So, first of all, let's talk about positioning. Good positioning is one of the best ways to gain a strategic advantage because if you are in a bad position, your opponent can easily punish you. And even if you have an advantage over them, if you're not in the right position to take advantage of that, then it doesn't really matter. For example, if I am playing against someone like a support champion and they're trying to poke me down with their auto attacks, well, if I'm too far away from them, then they're going to hit me, and I'm not going to be able to trade with them because I'm too far away. I don't have the range to trade back. However, if I back up and put myself into the right position where I have the range to trade back, then I've gained a huge strategic advantage here. And this is a simple example, but this can be applied to pretty much anything. If you're playing a hyper carry like Jinx, you want to make sure that you're never too close to the enemy team because you cannot win a 1v5 if you get caught. You have to be behind your team and far enough away that you can kite all 5 members of the enemy team. Another example would be something like Lee Sin. Lee Sin is very strong in the right position but very weak in the wrong position. If you're at the top of your wave and you send your Q towards the enemy minion wave, you're going to get punished hard. Your wave clear is literally non-existent, and if the enemy mid decides to roam, well, you're going to lose your lane and you're probably going to lose the game. However, if you're at the bottom of your wave when you send your Q forward, now you have 2 or 3 minions blocking you. Your wave clear is very strong, and even if the enemy mid does decide to come and gank you, well, you're going to be safe, because you're behind your wave. This may seem like very basic stuff, but gaining an advantage through proper positioning is the most fundamental thing that you can do. This isn't exactly rocket science, but if you're the guy that's watching this video, I'm sure that you know this already. Alright, so next up we have timing. Having good timing is very important because your abilities only work if you can land them. A lot of abilities in this game require a very small delay after you cast them in order for them to do their actual effect. For example, if I cast my E, my wave clear, it takes a little while before I actually get the bonus movement speed towards the wave. Now this can be really tricky sometimes because if you press your E and then you move towards the wave, well then you're not going to get the bonus movement speed because you didn't wait for the ability to go off first. It's a very subtle thing, but it's very important. You always want to wait for your abilities to go off before you do anything else. A good example of this would be Malzahar. Now his abilities have incredibly long wind-ups, especially his ultimate, and if you don't time these correctly, well then, you're going to be standing there for a very long time without any abilities. Now the best way to practice this is to hop into practice mode and just mess around with your abilities and see how long the wind-up is. Once you learn the exact amount of time it takes for your ability to wind up, then you can easily apply this in-game. Now, timing isn't just about casting your abilities properly, it's also about knowing when to do certain things. For example, if I know that my jungler is coming to gank, well, then I need to time my Q to hit the enemy as he stuns them. If I Q before he stuns the enemy, well, then my Q will miss, and I could possibly die. Or, if I Q after he stunned them, well, then I'm just wasting my ability. And this is something that comes with experience. Obviously, you won't know when your jungler's gonna gank you every single time, but you will start to learn common ganking patterns and you'll start to learn when you should be doing certain things. And finally, we have movement. Now, this is both in game movement as well as how you move your champion. This is very important because you can easily bait out an ability or bait out an entire combo if you do it properly. And if you can bait out your opponent's abilities, well, then you've gained a huge strategic advantage because now you know that you can freely do whatever you want. No abilities are coming. Also, good movement will allow you to dodge important abilities. For example, if you're playing against Zed and he starts channeling his ultimate, if you do a proper dash, you can easily dodge this and completely negate his ultimate. On the flip side of this, if you're the one with the powerful abilities, then you want to make sure that you have the proper movement to back it up. A lot of the times, your abilities will only work if you're in the right position. And if you can properly time your movement with your abilities, then you will become unstoppable. An easy example of this would be something like Annie. Now, Annie's tibbers don't travel very fast, and if you throw your tibbers at the enemy and they immediately run away, well then your tibbers are probably not going to hit them. However, if you throw your tibbers and you follow up with a stun, well then you've forced the enemy to stay in place and now your tibbers will hit them 9 times out of 10. Now, obviously, there are a million other ways to gain strategic advantages. All the pro players are constantly coming up with new and innovative ways to gain an advantage over their opponents. But the best way to learn these is to watch high elo players and see what they do. What you'll start to notice is that they do things that seem very trivial, but if you copy them, you'll start to see a drastic increase in your own gameplay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.